Welcome to another episode of the Daniel Teacher's Experience. My name is Daniel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And because it's 21, you got to say anyone who doesn't identify as a boy or a girl, or anyone who identifies as a boy and a girl, or anyone who identifies as a boy once on Tuesdays and then a girl on Thursdays and then twice back on Sundays. Welcome to everybody and whatever you identify as. It's another episode of the Daniel Teacher's Experience, the place where I, Daniel, the psychology student, talk about different things like, you guessed it, psychology, motivation, self-development, fighting, and anything else that I think might be of interest to myself and to yourself. Today, I want to talk about fighting. Now, before I say any further, when I say fighting, this isn't going to be MMA, UFC, none of that stuff. So if you're not a fan of watching those kinds of sports and competitions, don't leave. I think you're going to find this very interesting. In the last couple of years, folks, I've really been sitting back and paying attention to some things that other people have been doing. Now, the psychology of fighting is this. Again, when I refer to fighting in this case, unless I explicitly state otherwise, I'm speaking about a regular encounter on the street, in a parking lot, in the park, not a sanctioned competition with judges and promotions and gates and none of that stuff, okay? That's what I'm going to mean, unless I say otherwise. So when you look at fighting, in its essence, from a biological evolutionary perspective, it's this. A lot of the time, this comes from mating, wanting to assert your dominance, wanting to be more assertive. Now you're saying, well, Daniel, not all fights happen just because there's, someone's hitting on someone's girl or someone's hitting on someone's boyfriend or vice versa. You're right. But just so we can get the foundation of where it comes from. One of the reasons that Jordan Peterson's lobsters blew up so much was he had looked at lobsters and he noticed that, oh, interesting, when lobsters fight, the winner he secretes more serotonin, which makes him feel more confident, and he stands up taller, and it makes him more attractive to the females around him. As opposed to the loser, he secretes less serotonin, his shoulders are down, and he attracts less women towards him because of that. Now, why is that important? It's important for this nature. When anyone gets into a dispute, whether it be physical or verbal, 9 times out of 10, we're trying to prove something. And what happens is, I'm trying to prove to you that this idea of mine is correct. It can be any concept, it can be any idea. You can be speaking to a prof, your best friend, or your father. It doesn't matter. You're both trying to prove to each other that this idea that you have is right. Sometimes you see eye to eye, sometimes you do not. When you do not see eye to eye, it's always important to realize, hey, I'm not trying to win. The reason why I don't like using words like we're having a debate is because I feel like we're scoring points. Because I feel like if I'm in the wrong, I never want to say that I'm wrong. And I want to use my words in a very calculated manner in order to trip you up and score a point against you. And I don't believe in that, right? I believe in discussions, or I believe in arguments in a sense. But one reason why I use discussion as opposed to argument is because argument, I don't want it to be emotional. There's no room for shouting in a discussion, in my opinion. There's no need to get riled up. There's no need to be emotional even. It's being logical, listening to the other person's conclusion, and genuinely thinking, okay, is there a chance that I'm wrong about this? So that's a conflict that's verbal. Now let's talk about physical conflict. Did you see, folks, or did you hear in this manner, some of these rules that I just kind of laid out for you? Like everything that I just said about listening to someone's tone, listening to their conclusion, right? Not strawmanning their argument, but being genuine and being really thinking about, wow, do they know something that I don't? These are some rules of the game. Now, the same is true in fighting. I'm going to tell you about a couple of things that I saw and a couple of encounters that I've had in real life with friends or stories that people have told me and my takeaway on it. And again, this is just my opinion. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. It does not matter. But I think it's really important for you to hear it so then you can make up your own mind. A couple of years ago, I'm watching this street fight. It just on YouTube, just fall into it by accident. And this one guy's on top of the other guy. Now, for people who don't know what a triangle choke is, essentially it's one guy's on his back. And to oversimplify, he's going to wrap his legs around the other guy's head. And your legs are very strong. And when you squeeze those leg muscles and you're pulling down on the head, you're essentially squeezing someone in between your thighs. So the guy on the bottom had a triangle choke on the guy on top. So the guy on top just had his head between this guy's legs. Guess what happens? He's holding him in there. The guy on top, he taps out. He taps on the guy's leg. If you watch MMA or grappling matches, you know that if you tap, it says, hey man, I'm done, I quit, I surrender. Guess what happens? He taps. The guy on the ground lets go. Like a gentleman, like a courteous person. The moment that guy gets released from that submission hold, he comes up, and it was bad. Hard as he can, he had a weight advantage on him too with a punch. Clunk punches this kid in the face, and they were on, I think, just a street, so it was concrete, and you see this kid's head pop off the concrete road. You're going, yikes, what the hell? Now, I would like to think that the majority of people who actually do grappling, who actually do self-defense would say, hey man, I wouldn't have let him go if he tapped. I would have let him go unconscious. Because if he goes unconscious, it's not going to kill him, even though it is extremely dangerous, but it's better than him coming back and doing that to you. Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe there are some gentlemen out there who would say, oh, well, I mean, he tapped. But what I'm trying to say to you folks is there are no rules out there. And I'm always so confused when people act like there is, like as if fighting is this noble thing. Fighting's so badass. No, listen to me. Fighting is not badass. I'll tell you what's badass. Standing up for yourself. Defending yourself. Asserting your dominance. Don't think, because people get this misconception, it's like, oh man, how many fights have you been in? It's not about, oh, I knocked out 3 people, so I'm badass. No. It's that you defended yourself, or you defended your girlfriend or your family. That's the badass part. Hurting someone, that's just a byproduct of your action. Does that make sense? In my opinion, this isn't a fact. This is how I'd look at it. It's not the fact that you actually hurt someone that's sick. It's the fact that you were able to stand up for yourself, be assertive, be dominant when you needed to be, and not let someone walk all over you. So the fact that you even just stood up and said something like that, that's dope on its own. Anyways, man, you get to a situation like that and it sounds like no mercy, but I feel like that's what you get. You treated the actual legitimate fight like it was an MMA match. That was your mistake. And my God, guys, it's so crazy. First of all, just to get hit in the face is tough. From a guy who's not your friend, not your sparring partner, he really wants to hurt you, and you're lying on the ground. That'd be as if someone pins you against the wall, and it's even worse because gravity, when you're on the ground, he punches you in the face, and as your head goes back, you smack against the concrete. If you're lucky, we're talking concussion. If you're lucky. It's brutal, my friends. It's absolutely brutal, so please do not take that stuff lightly. Don't ever start a fight if you don't have to, but if you're going to start a fight, finish it. Always finish it. What does finish it mean? I'll let you decide. You're out somewhere, no one wants to get hurt, he's drunk. Finish it just might mean, man, you just intimidate him and he runs off. Finish it might mean you push him. Finish it might mean, yeah, you hit him once or twice, he falls down and that's it. Or maybe you put him to sleep. Whatever it may mean in that situation. Is he breaking into your house or is this just a drunk guy in downtown? You got to use your own discretion. But please finish it. You should be the one who says, hey, we end this here. Because the moment you put the ability to finish a fight in someone else's hands, you don't know how far he's going to take it. He might want to break a bone before he finishes. That might be his way of finishing it. He might want to kill you. You got no idea what he's going to do to you. Better you than him. They were, okay, another big point I really want to get across. I was watching a couple of videos online and someone was talking about like life lessons that they want to teach their kid and whatever. And this guy was like, yeah, man, I'll always teach my kid to fight and good and stand up for yourself and stand up for the people around you as long as you never throw the first punch. Anybody who tells you to never throw the first punch is completely wrong. They're utterly and completely wrong. And that is incredibly dumb, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. I could be 100% wrong about this, but that's why they're called opinions, and they're subjective and not objective. If you don't throw the first punch, that means you allowed yourself to get hit. And I can't fathom the stupidity of that idea. I see you approaching me. You don't look like you want to talk. You're getting very close. You're about to get into my personal space. Your fist is clenched up. I see a torque in your hip. You're going to swing. And I'm going to stand here and go, okay, I'm going to let him hit me first. And after man, there is no after. He hits you. Have you seen my friend Smith? Well, if you do, you know he's 6'4". I'm 5'7". I weigh 145. I'm guessing he's in the 200s. Man, if he hits me once, there's no, he'll hit me, and then after I'll slip. I hit him with 1-2, and then a jab. There is no after. That's it. That's finito. Done. Thank you for coming. Have a safe night home. Take care. Say hi to your parents. Like, that's it. This idea that I'm going to let him hit me first and then, don't do it. Don't, unless... You're right, you're super fast, you've been boxing for a couple of years, you're a Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva type where you specialize in counterpunching, go for it, if that's your thing. But this idea that you want to take a shot, folks, one shot is all it takes. In the nose, in the eye, it's in the throat. There's not going to be time to block, and that's a movie. That's a movie. He punches, I'm going to grab his fist, he's going to look at me, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. If you're going to hit first. Always. If you think your life's in danger, use your own discretion If you don't have to hit, don't hit. But if he's coming close to you and you think he's about to hit you and you're standing there with your hands down like, well, let's see what happens. You deserve to get punched in the face. If you let someone willingly hit you in the face, you didn't move back, you didn't bring up your arms, you just stood there, you deserve to get punched in the face. So please, don't ever let anyone touch you. Don't ever let anyone put their hands on you. And the moment they do, whether it's, because listen, if a hand is coming your way, okay, let's say you're talking to someone, they're drunk, you see a hand coming. You got about half a second to determine, is that a punch? Is that a slap? Is that a shirt grab? Is he going to grab my throat? Are you going to wait to find out? Well, let's see what he does. Well, maybe it's just a push. Maybe he's not going to push. Or you see a hand, do you wait to find out? That's your own, I would never. Again, it's a guy, hostile environment. He's swearing at you. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe he's not. He looks aggressive. You can see in his stance. He's angry. You can see it in the emotion. And you just see that hand coming and you got about a half a second and you want to wait and see what that's going to be. I don't like throwing the first punch. That's okay. This is what you're going to do. Just always maintain space. Always maintain distance. As long as you're far away, he can say whatever he wants to say, or she can say whatever she wants to say. Do not get up close to someone to the point where you could hug them if you're not comfortable throwing the first punch. As long as you always keep distance, man, you're going to be fine. Because most people aren't going to kick. You're not going to catch someone roundhouse kicking you in the head. A roundhouse is basically, yeah, exactly, when they're standing there and they kick you and the kick's going around and hits you in the side of the face. 80% of the time, it's always punches and it's always to the face. If you don't have it in you to strike first, always think, if a guy's hostile, just keep the distance. He takes a step forward, you take a step back. The problem with that is, well, how far back can you go? What if he keeps taking steps forward, right? Then just run. Then just run. That's the only thing that I can think of that makes sense. So please, if you're thinking about that hitting thing, please hit first. And you think, oh, well, Daniel, what about the law? Man, I'm not saying you're going to go up to someone, he's going to insult you, and you're going to beat him up. I'm saying he comes over to you, you say, hey man, I don't want any trouble. You see a movement, you see a motion. Over time, you learn these things. Over time, these things start to stand out to you. There's a torque in the hip. There's a shoulder move. The hand, elbow in. There's certain things, the hip and the shoulder and the stance are giveaways. The way that if the feet are really narrow, he's not about to hit you. Or the chances are lower, I should say that. But if you see him, the legs are a little bit farther apart, the hands are fists right by his side. He's ready to swing. If you see a motion, you hit him first. And anyone who asks, yeah, I saw him. He was about to hit me. He was going to hit me. I just hit him first. By chance, I was faster. And that is self-defense. That is 100% self-defense. If he came over to you, he started something with you, he threw the punch or he was mid-throw and you hit him first, that is 100% self-defense. It is. It absolutely is. Speaking of throwing the first punch, I was with two of my friends. One of them was a guy and one of them was a girl. And for people who are girls, this is going to be especially important for you to listen to. And we were just talking a little bit and this and that. We were talking about, being in street altercations and whatnot. And by the way, folks, 100%, I believe it is a lot easier to be in a fight than to not be in a fight. Being in a fight is easy. You just look at someone the wrong way. It's the ego. You want to go out there and prove not only to yourself, but to the people watching that you can take this person. Not being in a fight, avoiding a fight if you don't need to, that's really, I think that's the most gangster thing you can do. I absolutely, don't get this wrong. You're not afraid to fight. It's not about fear. It's not about, oh man, I don't think I can do it, but it's about, hey, nobody needs to get hurt. For what? For what? Because you budged in front of the line, because you did something small. We don't have to fight over that, man. We don't have to give someone permanent brain damage over that out here in a parking lot. If it's avoidable, always avoid it. Always. Always walk away. Always nod your head. Don't say anything. Don't take it personal. Don't ever take it personal. And I think that's a lot more badass. Like if you were like, yo, Daniel, I was walking, this homeless guy started insulting me and my girlfriend. I kicked his ass. Okay. I really don't care about that as much as you say, hey man, this homeless guy said something to me and I just walked past him. I didn't let it get to me. I value that more. Because, dude, when I was younger, I had the mentality, man, you're going to fight everybody. Anybody who says something, you got to stand up for yourself, for your sister, for your family, for your friends. Man, if you walk across downtown long enough, every homeless guy will say something. What are you going to do? Are you going to kick every homeless dude's ass? You're going to be fighting every single block. You're not going to get to wherever you're trying to go. It's not feasible. It's not practical to try to make a fight with everybody for anything that they say. Be ready to fight. know how to fight. And if the moment presents itself, go forward, take the first step, hell, throw the first punch. But don't go out of your way to start fights. That's my big thing here. If it's on your path, and yeah, a guy's coming and you're back against the wall, by all means, go for it. But if you don't have to fight, if it's not on your path, if you're going out of your way to stir something up, don't do it. Don't do it, my friends. Seriously, I think to avoid a fight, I think this is more about a person than to be in a fight. To be confident enough and have high enough self-esteem that you go, man, maybe I'll kick your ass. Who knows? Maybe you got 15 years of kickboxing. Maybe you kick my ass, but this isn't necessary. There's no need to do this. I don't got to prove anything to anybody. I know who I am. You know, walk off. That is so sick. I mean it rather. Oh, you know what I mean? If you don't have to. Anyways, I'm talking to two of my friends. One was a guy, one was a girl. And we're talking a little bit, and I don't know how the discussion got to self-defense. And we're talking about, yeah, you know, hitting someone, a lot of things in MMA might not be very practical. It all depends on your body, how big you are, your size, your muscle mass. And especially if you're a girl and you see someone as a guy, he's bigger, stronger, he's got the weight advantage. You'd be much better off if you're going to hit him in the groin, hit him in the eye, hit him in the throat. Those little areas where it doesn't depend on speed or on power. That's your best bet to go. Because if you're a girl, and listen, okay, again, my friend Smith, 6'4", I'm 5'7". If he was going to come and he's mugging me or whatever, and I go hard, let's say a hook to the body, wow, he's still going to be standing there. It's not going to do it. He's like 200 something pounds. He can take a shot. So me having the same mentality, for example, again, if Smith was in front of me, man, I'm not going to shoot for a takedown on this man. I'm not going to try to pick him up. It's idiotic, right? Forget boy or girl, man or woman. Just look at physique. Look at size. You got to use your strengths to your advantage, right? And your weaknesses. So you got to play around with that. And for the majority of girls, 9 out of 10, when you go up against a guy, you don't have the strength advantage. You don't have the speed advantage. You don't have the muscle mass. I wouldn't recommend, oh, you see a guy 6'2" coming over, you're a 5'3" girl, 120 pounds, you gotta shoot for a takedown. I wouldn't recommend that. Again, groin, eyes, throat. These are the areas that it doesn't depend on size or strength, but it will save your life. As I was giving this talk, my buddy who was a dude goes, Daniel, isn't that a cheap shot? Now at that point, I was like, oh man. Like my poor friend, like he was just, it was such a, and I think what my friend essentially did was he showed me how the majority of people interchange real fighting and a sanctioned match in a competition like in the UFC. A cheap shot. That was so weird to me, man. Like you are so far away from what the reality of a fight is. You're a 5'2" girl. A guy's coming over 6'3", 250 pounds. He's coming to take advantage of you. He grabs your wrist. You're thinking, do I hit him in the groin? You're like, no, that's a cheap shot. I got to spin and kick him in the head, or I got to do a spinning elbow. What the hell, man? Why? What an idiotic thing to think. Survival mode. This man is going to assault you. This man is going to kill you and rob you. I will do whatever it takes to survive. Bite, kick, scream, hit to the groin, hit to the eye. Oh, well, I don't want to do a cheap shot. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a cheap shot in a real fight. It does not exist. You are going to kill me, okay? You are going to kill me. And for me to have the thought and go, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll do a spinning heel kick, or maybe I'll do a dope combination because those girls over there are watching. I am in survival mode. And you got the size, strength, weight advantage on me? What is a cheap shot? What the hell does that even mean? Oh, it means a shot when he wasn't ready, when he wasn't looking. If you're on your way to seriously harm me, like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, we meet up in the street and some random bystander comes up and he goes, all right, you go to this Honda Civic, you go to that Toyota, ready, and action. And we start going, the homeless people, they start cheering. It doesn't go like that. There is no referee, there is no judge, there is no doctor that comes in if the cut is too bad, or there is no TKO. So the idea of like a cheap shot, I don't believe in cheap shots in fighting. I don't think they exist. In real fighting, anything goes. And if you walk into a fight all big and starting to fight and the guy pulls out a knife on you, there's no going, that's unfair. Or there's no going, oh, well, fight me like a real man. All that's out the window. You're the stupid one for thinking there are rules in this. I don't know how it can be any more clear. Like, I'm saying this from a place of love because I care for you. I don't want you to get hurt. But if you walk into a street fight and you think it's unfair that he has a knife on him or he's got 3 friends on him, and they 3-on-1 just kick the snot out of you, and you go, well, that's unfair. You are so far away from what a real fight is and what you've seen on TV that I would beg you to go watch some actual street fights on YouTube. Not because it's cool, it's actually bad, but people, they romanticize a real fight. Man, fights are terrible. You don't want to be in a fight if you don't have to. Again, if you don't have to, you should. This isn't a, hey, anti-fight. I'm not about that. I'm about standing up for yourself whenever necessary. But it's about realizing, man, should I engage in this? Or is it not even worth my time? Is it, yeah, people's safety is on the line, I got to do something? Or is it, I can walk away? Don't let your ego get you into things that you have no business being in. That's the biggest thing. I don't want anybody listening to this episode and say, oh, well, Daniel says don't get into fights. No. Absolutely not. At one point, the word good was used synonymously with the word harmless. Don't be harmless. Be harmful. Be able to hurt someone. I'm 1,000% serious. If it was up to me, I would have everybody be in martial arts. I would. I honestly would. I think everybody should know how to defend themselves, and everybody should also know first aid. But what I'm saying is, again, to emphasize, if there's a fight that you don't need to have, there's a guy in the corner being a jerk, you don't need to go over and start something with him. Don't. Save yourself the trouble. The unfortunate thing is too many people hear that and they start avoiding fights when their back's against the wall. When it's a real dangerous situation, they can't stand up for themselves anymore. That's the problem when you label things like toxic masculinity. You've taken the masculinity out of men. Now you got girls saying, guys are too nice. BS. There's no such thing. Him volunteering at the homeless shelter has nothing to do with your relationship with him. What you mean when he's too nice is he's too feminine. You've told him that being masculine is toxic, so now he's being more feminine. And guess what? That means being less dominant, being less assertive, wanting you to take control. Maybe not paying for dinner, right? These are certain things. Not to digress too much, but I'm saying be aggressive when necessary. Key, when necessary, but still be aggressive. Anyone who tells you that you shouldn't be aggressive, they're full of it. You should absolutely be aggressive, but you should be controlled. Don't ever be angry. Angry is uncontrolled. It's emotion. You're not thinking logically. You're going to rash out. You're going to have a temper tantrum like a 5-year-old. Don't get angry. Be aggressive when necessary, when calculated. Control it. Don't pretend that's not there, that kind of fighter inside of you. Acknowledge it. And learn how to control it and do, in certain situations. But anyways, I was there with my 2 friends and I was like, man, what a crazy way to think. This guy's going to do whatever he wants to this girl. And she has this idea of, well, I don't want to hit him with a cheap shot. What are you talking about, man? Anything goes. And if you think there's rules in a fight, you are mistaken. There absolutely are not rules. He can have anything on him. He can have buddies on him. He can do whatever he wants to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And to think otherwise, I think is foolish. I really do. So for anyone listening to this, again, my opinion, there's no such thing as a cheap shot. In a fight, anything goes. Biting, hits, chains, brass knuckles, pipes, sticks, anything goes. So don't start hitting them with, well, that's unfair, or come on, dude, or like, that's, don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. Now, I'm going to tell you about 3 things. Now, I just said that there are no rules in a fight, but these are 3 things that I've noticed that I think could really save your life. Like, absolutely, from just people around me, stories that I've heard, certain things that I've read, videos that I've watched, other podcasts that I've listened to. If there's 3 things that you remember from this entire show, let it be this. Rule number 1. If you ever feel like there's an altercation, don't ever, and I mean ever, walk up to a guy face to face to the point where you could smell his breath. Do not. The amount of times I've seen this, dude, I get goosebumps. It's very scary. You see 2 guys, they're arguing, and they get right into each other's faces, as if it's a UFC stare down, as if it's a press conference. Like, I cannot believe you just shake your head. You go, dude, what are you doing? You don't know if he has a knife in his back pocket. You don't know if he's going to punch you first. And if he does, the closer in distance you come, the less chance you have to block or to defend or to parry or to hit him first. When you got distance, he has to first close the distance, which means come forward to you, then throw the punch. But you just eliminated the distance. When you are so close to each other, like you're standing like face off, like face to face, and he's saying something and you're saying something, anybody could hit anyone at any point in time. And it's almost impossible to defend when you're that close. So don't ever, if you're trying to start something with someone, just think about distance. Where are you safe from? Could he kick me from here? Okay. Get a little closer. Oh, okay. He could definitely punch me in the face from here. Am I fast enough to block his punch? Guys, I'm a pretty fast guy. I sprint. Sprints is my favorite exercise. I couldn't. If I was face to face with someone and he moved his hand, even as an extra try to tap my nose, I couldn't. I think it's almost impossible. I really do. So if you're ever thinking about being in an altercation, always think about distance. Wherever we are standing, can he touch my face? Can he hit me from here? No, we're good. Oh, he can? Be very careful. Guys, arms down, just talking face to face. The noses are almost touching. I'm going, you are insane. You are insane for putting yourself in this risky situation to this point where you don't know if he has a knife. You don't know if he's done 15 years of boxing. You got no idea what this dude has on him. Brass knuckles. You don't know. And you're stepping into this thing with him where if he throws a shot, you're absolutely in it and there's nowhere to back out. Distance. Distance, distance, absolutely distance. Be extremely careful. Second thing I'd say, well, actually, first and second thing, they're pretty similar, right? First thing would just be distance, know where you are. Second thing is what I said much earlier, throwing the first punch. Guys, I don't believe in shouting matches. I don't believe in UFC stare downs in the street. I absolutely do not. Man, if something's going to happen, something's going to happen. Someone's going to get hit. I don't believe in just shouting and yelling at someone. No, there's no need to. If we're not going to fight, great, have a great day. I'll be on my way. And there's no need to speak in a other manner that is calm like this. But if you're going to fight, well, you better be ready to throw the first punch. And that's what number 2 would be. If you are actually going to fight, be ready to throw the first punch. Don't just wait and see what happens. Or be ready. Be extremely ready. So first is distance, second, throw the first punch. 3, folks, it's crazy to me how much people aren't aware of their surroundings. If you're going to fight 3 people, it's contrary to an Ip Man movie. You don't fight one guy on your left, one guy on your right, and one guy in front of you. The best thing that you can do, if you have multiple attackers, the number one best thing you can do is run away. Because you're effed, right? It's the number one best thing you can do. The second best thing you can do, if you're there, you got to fight him. You want to all have them in front of you. You want to see everybody. You don't want anybody in your peripheral vision. You don't want anyone on your far left or far right. So if you can stand in a way where, like, let's say the 3 guys that you're fighting, they're almost in a line. For example, the best way that you could do it is imagine if you're in a room and they're outside the room and there's a door frame. And the beauty of that door frame is it's narrow enough where only one person can come in at a time. So essentially, if you hit one guy and you kick him and he goes backwards, it takes a second and then another guy comes. So it's one at a time. Like single file line, I mean. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're going to kick their ass, but I'm saying it's a different story than one guy's coming from front, 4 guys coming from the left, 1 guy's coming from behind. That's, I mean, we're talking between, at least in the door frame, man, you got a 15% chance of survival. The other one, man, maybe you got a 2% chance of survival. But I was with a couple of friends of mine about a year or so ago, and we were in this, almost in an altercation. At the time, this is all you got to know. There's about 7 or 8 of us, and there's about 2 in the other group. And I remember thinking, man, like if anything happens, I'm not worried about our safety. There's 7 of us, there's 2 of them, but there's no need to. It'll be a hassle, whatever. Thankfully, nothing happens. As we're walking away, I see 2 other guys, and this is, we're out there on the street, we're in downtown. We see 2 other guys pass us. And I knew they were friends with them. And I was going, interesting, I guess they got 2 more friends. And then I saw 2 more guys pass us on the right. And I knew that they were also friends with those 2 guys back there. I was going, whoa. We were back there. We thought we had 7 of us against 2 of them. They got 2 more friends on the left here, 2 more friends on the left here. What most people do in both first aid situations and in fighting situations is you tunnel vision. You just look at a person. They told us in first aid training, they're like, man, it's actually not out of the ordinary to have someone. You're driving in a highway. You see someone get hit by a car. You get out of your car and then you run through the highway to go check on that person and you get hit by a car. I know it sounds crazy, but it really is tunnel vision. You're shocked, you just focus on one thing. So again, it goes back to almost drill 1, distance. What happens is if you're in a room, right, and you go in, let's say you walk into a club, you see a guy in the middle of the dance floor, you walk up to him, you guys get face to face. Here's the problem. You don't know if he has any friends in the club. You don't know if there's anyone on the left, anyone on the right. There's a crowd. Who in this crowd is associated with this person? Look back. Is there anyone standing by the door? If you were to run back right now, is one of his buddies, barricading the exit door? People don't know. It's the little things that people don't notice. So imagine again back there, 7-2 with us. Imagine something had happened, and then all of a sudden, the extra friends come over. The problem is if you go tunnel vision, man, you are basically screwed. You are so screwed. So I know it's very hard. You're in the situation. It can be emotional. It can be intense. But scan the room a little. Be mindful. Okay, I'm here. All right, man, I might want to do something. Okay, he looks like he might want to try to start something. Does he have any buddies around? I haven't seen him talk to anyone all night. Let's see, where's the exit? All right, the exit's there. Okay, I can get through there pretty quick. Like, it's the little things, man. I swear to God, they're going to help you so absolutely much. Does he have friends with him? How many? Where are they? Or what does he know? Does he train? Does he know more? Does he have a knife on him? Does anybody have a gun on them? Extremely important things to know and just to be aware of. So if you ever walk into a room, just know, where are the exits? Which way do I leave? Then you sound paranoid. No, it's not paranoid. It's being smart. It's being intelligent and being logical and going, in case something happens, man, you always want to know how many people are involved in this. Let's say you're a grappler. You're an amazing grappler. You take this dude down, you start beating on him. 3 of his buddies come and they start kicking your ass. What happens now? Whose fault is that? You tell me you didn't check, you didn't know? Yikes, man. Yikes. And you go, well, Daniel, how? Sometimes there's no way to know if he has friends. You're right. So you got to be extremely, extremely confident before you make that decision to engage in a fight or to withdraw from the fight. Always think about distance. Maintain distance for your own safety. Think about throwing the first punch. And always scan the room. How many people are there? Don't tunnel vision on one guy. Does he have friends around him? What happens if I'm on top of him and then his buddy comes over? What happens then? Does he have a knife on him? I don't know. Do I want to take that chance? Does he have a gun on him? I don't know. Do I want to take that chance? So really just be absolutely careful. My recommendation, always run. Always leave. If there's no need to. If it's unnecessary, always get out. But if you need to, and if your back's against the wall, make sure that you incorporate those 3 things. Whether you've been in fights before, whether you're in martial arts classes, whether you've never been in a fight before. And I hope those things will help you out. Everybody, this was another episode of the Daniel Experience. I hope that you enjoyed. My name is Daniel. Thank you so much for listening to this on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I appreciate you absolutely. Have an incredible safe day and take care.